What is the smoothest and easiest looping workflow with the Sheeran Looper Plus? I asked myself that question, and here is my setup. I recently switched from my old loop station, the Boss RC30, to the new Sheeran Looper Plus. And in the beginning I was a bit confused because there are quite a few things that work very differently. So I wanted to create a looping workflow with the new Sheeran Looper Plus that is at least as smooth as it was with the old Boss RC30, preferably even better. So here's my setup. So these are my connections. My guitar goes into an octaver, which is the Boss OC5. This is my bass effect. So from the Boss OC5, I go into the Sheeran Looper Plus through the mono in left, which is that cable here. So here I also have my loop microphone connected. For that, I use the Shure SM58 with a switch. So the switch is very important because your loop microphone, you don't want that to record all the time. You just want it to record when you actually need it. So when I need it, I switch it on, record something, and then I switch it back off. Because if the microphone was recording all the time, it would get pretty messy pretty fast. So that is why that switch is very important. So then I also have an external foot switch connected with a TRS cable because I use a double foot switch. And if you want to connect a dual foot switch through this one input here, it is very important that you use a TRS cable for that. With a normal instrument cable it won't work. So for the foot switch I use the Boss FS6. The downside is that this one needs a battery. So it needs a 9 volts battery. But the battery lasts a long time, so that is usually no problem. So if you don't like the risk of a battery dying, you can also use the Boss FS5U. This one does not need a battery, but it is just one foot switch. So if you need two, you have to go with this one. I think there are other dual foot switch options out there as well that work without a battery. But for me, I like this one because it has the nice pedals. So that is why I'm going with the Boss FS6. So the last thing we need is going out with an instrument cable from the main output into the amplifier. So here is how I customized all my buttons. So if you want to assign buttons, you long press the encoder. Then you select Assign in the menu, which is this one here. Then you press. And then you can select encoder, foot switch 1 and foot switch 2. So for example, when you want to assign foot switch 2, you press this button and then you can select what you want foot switch 2 to do. So for me it's set to track, so foot switch 2, which is this one, switches the tracks. So foot switch 1 for me is set to solo current. So it basically solos the track that's currently selected. So right now it's track A, and if I press button 1, track B gets muted and only track A is playing. So if I press it again, both tracks are playing again. So the reason I have that set to foot switch 1 and not 2 is that foot switch 1 is way closer to my other pedals. I need to use that during the song very often, for example for the verse and then back to the chorus. That is why I need to reach this one blindly during the song, and track 2 for me is mainly important in the beginning of the song to start up the loop. So the last one is the encoder push, and I assigned that to fade all tracks because for me this is the most tricky button to reach, so I assigned the function to it that I need to use the least often, just like once in a while at the end of a song. So here is a quick demonstration. As a reminder, foot switch 2 is switching channels. Foot switch 1 is solo current track. And this one is for fade out. 1, 2, 3. Switching channels. Loop microphone, switch it on first. Alright, and then you you can start singing. You are my fire, my one desire. Believe when I say I want it that way. Again, you are two worlds apart, can reach to your heart when you say, mute again, I want it that way. And in the end, you can also fade it out by just pressing the encoder. And I've set the fade out time to 10 seconds. You can adjust that in the fade out settings. So that's it with this video. If you got something out of it, leave a like and subscribe. It really means a lot to me. And if you're interested in some loop tutorials of famous songs with this loop station, then let me know in the comments. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.